jump on here as we've seen him before. So, but I did want to talk about what we're running into right now. And that's our kind of our market that we're in. I mean, we're seeing those inventory go down. And this is actually the best time to be in real estate and also capture market share. And our teams have seen this time and time and time again, because the agents that are not doing the things that they need to do are dropping out, because there's not those people just running up to them saying, can you list my house? Can you put an offer in on this house? You're actually having to go out and find your clients. And that's what real estate is really about. We are starting to see this happen a little bit more in at our local branch at the Williamson County Association of Realtors. We are seeing the number of agents decrease. It is slight, but we are starting to see that decrease now, because people have waited out, for half a year and the business has not changed for them. Where you guys are actually, because you're actively out there, you're actually seeing your business starting to grow and stuff, where other people's are faltering. So one of the things though is it's kind of hard, and how do we handle the hard type things? And Ben had actually shared this with us before as far as handling hard better. And the first thing we do is we simplify it. Now, when we talk about simplifying something, we actually want to make it simple so it's not convoluted, because it's like our iPhones. If you look at the iPhone, Steve Jobs always wanted something that was very intuitive. He didn't want a bunch of buttons. Older people will know that there used to be a BlackBerry where we actually had a full keyboard on our phone where we would type in stuff. I mean, every one of those keys operates separately. And he said, no, we want to just make it simple. We just want to make it point, shoot, boom. And now you look at the iPhone, it's got everything there. It's got a camera, which is fantastic. It's got a recording device. It's got a calculator. It has a computer. It has your email there. I mean, I remember teachers used to say, well, you need to figure this out because you're not always going to be able to carry a calculator around with you. Well, we sure showed those teachers, didn't we? But one of the things is it's just having simplicity to what we do. And there's a profound and enduring beauty in simplicity and clarity and efficiency. True simplicity is derived from so much more than just absence of clutter and ornamentation. It's about bringing order to complexity. And that's one of the things that's great about our systems, is that it's very simple. What we do first is we go through and we take a look at our Brivity. We check for any new leads. After we check for new leads, we're going to reach out to them either through a phone call, text message, but we're going to find out, are they a hot lead? Are they a nurture lead? Are they a watch? And if we don't get in touch with them, then they're an unqualified. But that's the first thing we do. The next thing we do is we take a look and see, who do I need to contact today, or what information do I need to do? And then we go ahead and put that on our calendar. And then after that, then we start doing our prospecting, because our whole job is to lead generate. And what that is adding people to our funnel, and the people that are in our funnel, working with them to see how we can get them to output so that we help them achieve what their goals are. When you break it down into just simple steps like that, it makes everything else simple. If we don't have anything through calling expireds or FSBOs, then we take a look, well, what type of open houses? Let me talk to my sphere. I haven't talked to them for a while. And this is something where you're not being salesy. It's just touching base with them. Hey, how are things going? And you do your forward talks with them, because it's going to build relationships, and they're going to do that. But too often we tend to complicate things to justify our own inaction. And you've heard Ben say this several times, but that's the case. Well, I can call them once I get all my ads lined up that I'm going to send them, or all my text messages I'm going to send them. Don't need to do that. Just reach out to them. People like that are going to be paralyzed. The people that say, well, I haven't got my listing presentation, so I don't want to call anybody for a listing. Go get a listing, then figure it out. You go out there. If they're in your sphere, they're probably going to hire you anyway. And you've got a great team that's going to help you. So don't let things saying, I need to do this before I can do that. Biggest thing is just simplify and take action on it. The next part is the hard work. And I'm going to give you an example of someone that took a long time but he did do the hard work. And this was a guy, and you guys kind of tell me when you know who he is, okay? He had a brief stint in the U.S. Army. He was also a streetcar conductor. He was a railroad fireman, an insurance salesman, a secretary, a tire salesman. He operated a ferry. He was an attorney, and even a brief stint as a midwife. Okay. In 1939, he developed a method of cooking chicken via a pressure cooker, which cut down on the grease and preserved flavor, moisture, texture without sacrificing cooking time.
KFC.
Yep, but it worked. In 1964, he franchised over 600 outlets and built a company worth millions of dollars. And there's old Colonel Sanders. And one of the things he talks about too, you'll hear him say, his famous saying was, "I'm too drunk to taste this chicken." I don't know if you guys have ever heard that term or not, but his
I thought
business,
that was a joke before. I didn't know he really did that.
he really did say that. That was in an actual commercial. And the film crew, when they were doing the commercial, was just flabbergasted that he said that, because they'd been shooting commercials and it was hot outside because, you know, you're doing fried chicken out, you know, with family and stuff. And he said that, and they left it in there, and his business exploded because he was authentic with it. But the biggest thing was, it really went back to anytime it's dealing with overindulgence of something, you can take something to excess. But that's where a lot of people use that phrase. But his business exploded because then he had over 23,000 locations in several countries. And at that time, before that, he was kind of struggling with it, with all the competition with fast food. But that one just endeared him to everybody because they thought that, man, that was cute. It was authentic, you know, and they just said, yep, that's us. I mean, that's a Southern lifestyle. So really neat individual, but the guy did not give up on his dream. I mean, he didn't even start doing chicken until he was 40. Okay. So, but one of those things about being a failure, I mean, is you learn from it. Don't ever think that I failed and I need to stop. Say, all right, what did I learn from that? That didn't work. And I'm going to talk about another person who did the same thing. But every time you do that, hard work will breed all the tonics and vitamins in the world. Okay. And value hard work. And it's a struggle. And one of the people that we talk about is, do you guys know who Wilma Rudolph is? She actually grew up in Clarksville, Tennessee. Okay. She is one of 22 children. She was constantly surrounded by support and care because she needed it, because she had poor health. She survived bouts of polio, scarlet fever. Her illness forced her to wear a brace on her leg. Wilma's diagnosis was very bleak. My doctor told me I would never walk again. My mother told me I would. She believes her mother, not the doctor. She ended up competing in the 1956 Olympic Games and won a bronze medal in the 4x100 relay. 4 years later, Rudolph headed to the 1960 Summer Games determined to get a gold. She won 3 gold medals and broke at least 3 world records. Rudolph became the first American woman to win 3 gold medals in track and field at the same Olympic Games. And one of the things she always talked about, believe me, the reward is not so great without the struggle. You have to look at this lady. She actually had to have braces on her legs, had to actually get over that, then learn how to walk, and then learn how to run. Winning is great, sure, but if you're really going to do something in life, the secret is learning how to lose. Nobody goes undefeated all the time. If you can pick up after a crushing defeat and go on to win again, you are going to be a champion someday. Learn to find joy in the struggle. And that's just like what we do. We make phone calls and we will get some negative phone calls, and we just have to slough that off and just move on and say, all right, what did I learn from that phone call I just on? Well, that probably wasn't a way to approach it. Or how could I have been more empathetic to that person to establish that connection? Because it wasn't that they don't want to sell the house. They're just frustrated by it. And then failure. I mean, people think failure is final, and it's not. There's a gentleman by the name of James. He had 5,126 failed prototypes types. And most people, hear about Edison, where he found all these different ways not to build a light bulb. Well, this guy actually kept track because he knew exactly how many prototypes he tried because he thought he had a better way. Do you guys know what that is, or can you see it real well?
Dyson.
Yep, Dyson vacuum cleaner. James Dyson. Okay. I learned that the moment you want to slow down is the moment you should accelerate. And one of the things it talks about is saying, maybe I need to slow down. Maybe I need to not push that much. And it found out that no, that's when I really need to hit the gas and work harder at what I'm doing. Because the quicker I do that, the quicker I'm going to break through this point I'm at into where I'm successful. It's said that to be an overnight success takes years of effort. So it is proved with me. You think during those 5,126 failed prototypes, I mean, he was thinking, I'm going to be an overnight success as soon as I figure this out. But I mean, he was learning the whole time that he was going about it. See failure as being closer to success. And then it gets down to just doing the work. Okay. No one's coming to save you. David Goggins is a Navy SEAL, and he was also in the Air Force. It's like the Rangers, but for the Air Force. Okay. So he had actually gone through their boot camp, and then he also went through the Navy SEAL. And after becoming a Navy SEAL, there's a program where the SEALs can actually go through the Ranger program too. So they're acclimated with working with Rangers. So he actually is the only person that's gone through all three services, special operations training. And there's so many people that wash out. So David Goggins is something that he's been through different things that are hard. And he's also, you guys have heard about marathons. Well, he does super marathons where he runs 100 miles in one session instead of just 26. So a lot of great things. He's also spoken at our Win Make Give event. So that's when he says, no one's coming to save you. So the rule is make it happen and always show up. And if you think you have problems in life, do something about it. One of the other things that we do is too often that we think, well, we'll just sit there and do something. And I see it a lot here in real estate in 10 years. I see people's business get slow and they think I need to change brokerages because evidently they're going to have this all end all be all thing. And then they change brokerage. And guess what? After they're there for a year and a half, they change to a different brokerage. And then they change to a different brokerage. And they're at 3 or 4 different brokerages. And then they either come back to a different brokerage that they've been at. But it always gets down to, it's always going to be about us doing the work. It's never going to be about, is it the right place to be at? Because there's no easy answers for it. Just do the work, simplify it too, and then enjoy it while you go through it too. And that's something that start to get passionate about, because you don't have to like it. You just have to come to terms with it. Okay. Most people will tell you that are successful in real estate, I don't like making cold calls. I don't like doing open houses, or there's different aspects that they don't like doing. Like, I don't like negotiating repair contracts, but they've just become okay with it. That's the same with any job you're going to have. You just have to be okay with it. Comments?
Thank you for all that. I mean, it'll make you feel better.
Yeah. And the whole thing is just to put it in the right light, because when you go through that, it's really tough to see that end goal because you're in it. And it goes back to Wilma Rudolph. I mean, going through that struggle. I mean, she said she was going to run in the Olympics, and she did, and did it at a very high level, but that was a struggle every day. Holly, comments?
It was really insightful. Thank you.
I'm sorry, say it again. You
It was
wrote that.
really insightful.
Very good. Okay. And Susie?
I really love how, because I don't know what careers you guys have come from before, if you've had leads handed to you, but that's kind of how it is in corporate America. And so making that shift is sometimes uncomfortable, but I love the examples of, I think you said, I'm sure he didn't think he was going to be overnight success, when he was going through so many failures. And I think it's, what was it, 409? Isn't that like the number of tries that they had to get to actually perfect that specific
cleaner? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I
That's
think that
interesting.
that's the number of times that it took to finally get to their success. So I think the reason the agents might give up, and now personally, realizing the tough parts of it, is that you don't see success right away. So they start to cower back down, or like you were saying, they've gotten to that referral stage of their career, and then they're not getting that. And then they have to do the hard work again, and they don't want to go through it again. But I think like I just took away so much. Like, you don't have to like it. You just have to come to terms with it and just start to do the activity, and then the results will come. So I really appreciated it.
Very good. Jana?
Yeah, I think the reality of just the daily grind is like kind of being okay with boring factor, and also like taking ownership, just even though like individually we're all kind of working together, but the reality is I guess getting to the normal stuff that's hard. I think that idea of the inaction making it more complex, because the simple thing of calling and hitting the hard moments is where we generally lose. And so coming to terms with that, kind of having to keep returning to the harder parts that we tend to avoid, or avoid the pain, is where I think it comes down to, like, yeah, what are we going to do with the boring and the tedious stuff, and find look beyond that.
And it's great to have other people around when you're going through that journey.
Yeah,
They're
it's
going to
like
celebrate with you and support you.
yeah, when you were talking about finding joy in the struggle, like I was having a really bad day on the phones. I was getting hung up on left and right. I was getting cussed out and all kind of stuff. And I guess my wife was sitting over here, and she could see I was getting down. And then this guy just, are you effing kidding me? And hung up. And she just died laughing. She just infectiously just laughed and filled up the room. And of course I started laughing too. And then the rest of my calls, no matter what, like we just laughed at them. It became easier. Just finding joy in the struggle.
And that's why I always say, if you're struggling to make phone calls, come in and make phone calls with me. Because I get that all the time. It's just one of those things that, okay, move on, next. They're not ready to talk to me yet. Okay. And the one person, that I went on a listing appointment, and the agent that they selected, and they were actually here in our office, by the way, didn't sell the house in 6 months. And I saw like for sale by owner sign. So I called him again and said, Lee, what's going on? He says, I think we should talk. And I sold the home in 8 days. So they weren't ready to talk to me then, or they didn't hire me then, but again, just staying out there. And then that person then referred me to another client. So again, it's one of those things where don't get upset about those things. Just focus in on what you're doing right then. And you're there to help. And when you hang up, what could I do differently? So great stuff. All right, guys. Let me sign off on this.